Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Expanding Heart Tarot, and we are back here talking to Kaye Ashbridge, who owns the company, and she is our empath, our psychic, our intuitive. She offers more than just tarot readings, but she also does astrology, uses oracle cards as well, and really can help you in person, online. She's even teaching this. I mean, there's a lot that she has to work with you one-on-one or in groups, but we're excited to have her here as a self-developed psychic and mystic. Welcome back. How are you today?
Hi, Jill. I'm doing great today. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It's always a pleasure to see you and glad you're doing all right. It's been a week since we last spoke. Always an exciting show. For those who may not know who Kaye Ashbridge is, would you mind just telling us a little overview about yourself before we
Sure.
get started on today's topics? Thank you.
Yes, I am a tarot intuitive. I've been reading tarot since my teens, and I do a lot of spiritual work, helping people kind of through their awakenings, helping people find their spark, helping people walk through the shadowy parts of themselves to bring forth the light. So I'm kind of a mystical worker. Definitely tarot has taught me a lot throughout my life, and I'm just here to help other humans feel good about who they are.
Beautiful. Well, we always love talking to you. And, you describe yourself as, a self-developed psychic mystic, but you've always had this skill, right? You've always had this gift in a sense. You said it's a lifetime of knowingness. And for me on the outside, not in your world, and I know a lot of my friends and family, they always want to know, well, how did you know? How did you know? And you just know, right? And
Yes, I think you just know. Of course, there's just a ton of stuff that goes along with this. But in my 14th year, I was at a fair. I think it was like a Renaissance fair or something. And from about maybe, I don't know, 100 yards or so away, I saw a booth. It was kind of a tent. And I saw a person in the booth, and they were turning cards over for another person. Somehow I knew that it was a tarot card reading, and I had not seen tarot at all. So that was in my 14th year. I couldn't get it out of my head. I started working with regular playing cards and getting messages and just kind of teaching myself what these cards meant. And I was reading for family and friends. And in my 17th year, I bought my first deck of tarot cards. And it is something that I've used for myself for many, many, many years, decades. And I kind of came out of the tarot closet some years back and started offering my services to others. And it's really evolved into teaching. I have some coaching clients, and it's a lot of fun. I get to do what I'm passionate about and share with others with the intention of helping them realize that the magic is in them.
Oh, beautiful. Well, for those that may not know, let's talk a little about tarot, spiritual development, what it's all about, and how you're helping people here with the process, because some people may even be new just to what tarot is.
Yeah. So tarot is a specific structure of cards, and within the tarot deck, there are 78 cards. There are four suits, just like we have in the regular playing deck. We have four suits in tarot, and they are corresponded to the four elements in our planet. So air, water, earth, and fire. So we have four suits in the tarot. And then we have another set of 22 cards that are called the trump cards or the major arcana, which means big secrets. So those 22 cards, they represent very big milestones in spiritual growth throughout our lifetimes, whereas the four suits in the tarot represent kind of our day-to-day, what's going on with us. Now, within the tarot, we also have 16 court cards. So in a regular deck, you have the
Thinking
Jack.
jester.
Yeah, well,
When you
there's
say
that.
court, okay. Uh-huh.
You have the Jack, the Queen, and the King. And in tarot, we have a page, a knight, a queen, and a king. So
Oh,
these represent the people in our lives, and they also represent us. So a really interesting thing about the court cards in tarot is that they don't actually represent a gender. They're genderless. Although the images may look feminine or masculine, they're representing the energies of the masculine or the feminine. But it doesn't
Ah.
matter what actual gender they display.
Got
So
it. I
there's
didn't
just a
realize
lot.
that. Like I'm looking behind you right now, and what I see a knight. I see a man on a horse. Is that a knight? So
Yeah,
I'm, yeah. So it's the other way for you. I see him,
you're
and
right.
so I would think that's some type. Can you just explain that card, for instance, just for now?
That is the Knight of Pentacles. So the pentacles represent our earth element. And that knight is holding still. He is not moving, but he's holding a pentacle. That pentacle represents our earth element. So this happens to be one of the four knights in tarot, and he's not moving. He's holding still. So that tells me that there's some energy that's not moving. It's holding still. It might even be someone
Stagnant.
stuck. Now, a little bit stagnant, right? And this knight is holding his pentacle, and in front of the car, in front of him, there is a big vacant field. So the message is, it's time to plant something. You know, get
Yeah.
something going, take an action, and make something happen. Plant some seeds. And so that's what the Knight of Pentacles is about. And it's the earth element. So our jobs, careers, schooling, life, home life. So this guy on the horse holding still needs to make a plan and then make an action.
Got it. Thank you for
Yeah.
teaching us a little bit about that. And you mentioned though, tarot goes along with spiritual development too, right? So, if we can explore deeper, into that as well for today, I'd appreciate it. And we're going to open up the phone lines in about 15 minutes at 631-307-4010, 631-307-4010. We'll let you know when that happens, but stay tuned. Obviously, if you have any questions for Kaye about spirituality, about tarot, about herself, what she does. Go ahead, honey.
Yes, thank you, Jill. So as far as how can tarot help us in our spirituality, tarot is a system of symbols. And these symbols, we know factually that we can date the oldest in existence tarot deck to the mid 1400s. But history shows us, gives us lots of clues that tarot is much, much older than that. And it can be seen as a method of divination, which is to interpret divinity or connect with divinity. And the way that I see tarot with these different symbolisms and the pictures, the images, they awaken something within us on a psychic level that can activate our memories, that can activate desires or feelings. They can activate feelings that even come from other lifetimes. So tarot can be very, very deep. I use it in my daily practice. I read for myself. I can identify when things are coming up for me. I can also track by pulling one card a day where my energy is moving, what's coming in, what's leaving. And when I help others through tarot, there's always those kind of scary cards that come up. But the scary cards that might lead us to the shadows, the shadow parts of ourselves, they can feel scary, but every part of us is important. So a shadowy part of ourselves is just literally something that we deny and we don't want to look at. But it's finding our shadow, shining the light in it that helps bring us into more completeness and more fulfillment of ourselves. Because, we live in duality. Not every one of us is going to be perfect and positive all the time. It's almost not possible. So when we embrace the parts of us that have the negativity or that tend to see things in the challenge over the benefits, we need to work with that. And we have many ways where we can bring our mindset together. I think in spirituality, it's such a big topic. But when we are talking about our physical being, our physical bodies, and our spirituality, our physical body, these are the mechanisms of our intuition. So spirit comes through to speak to us divinity to divinity, and our soul rises to meet it. And then we express our uniqueness out into the world. So when I get kind of deep into this, we're literally source as intelligence
Mhm.
expressing itself through our experiences.
Wow.
And there are ways that we can direct our experiences by our thoughts.
Now, oh, go ahead.
No, that's a lot. That's a lot to
No,
take in.
I know, but I want you to finish your thought. Thank you. Some people I've heard, gotten nervous or scared in a sense of, well, if I get a tarot reading, there's so many negative cards. There's the death card. And you could tell me I don't really know all of them, but some people worry about that. Well, does that mean I'm dying? Does that mean, can I go, if I see a tarot reader, will they tell me I'm dying? And some people fear the tarot process who aren't familiar with it. So would you mind sharing a little bit of let's call them negative tarot cards, which you're probably going to say isn't negative, but we think is negative, and how that portrays to someone out there. Thank you.
We'll go with one of the obvious is the devil. All right, there's the devil card. And that is not a very pretty card. For the listeners, it is a horned man with bat wings and clawed feet sitting on a cube. And there's a man and a woman, and they have chains around their necks, and they're chained to this cube. Well, the devil card represents illusion. The devil card actually represents that we have chained ourselves or attached ourselves to something that is not in fact real. So when you look at the card, and I would urge our listeners to, if you have a tarot deck, have a look at that devil card and look right at it. So the individuals that are chained to the cube, those chains around their necks, they could take them off and throw them away and walk away. But they remain chained. So this is really a psychological card that tells us that someone is trapped in maybe somewhat of a negative feedback loop or a very negative belief about themselves. And they are attached and they're having a hard time seeing themselves in a better light, or they're having a hard time releasing themselves from something that's very toxic. Could be a relationship, could be a bad habit, could be something self-destructive, but the devil card is there to show us that there is an illusion that we're entertaining, and somewhere in our psyche, we believe it's real. Yet we could throw the chains off and walk away. So that's the devil card. The devil card tells me for someone to be cautious of some of their thoughts, to pay attention to maybe the bad habits, destructive traits that they might have. So based on other cards that come around this card, they can give us clues onto how to start to unravel the devil energy.
Oh, so okay. How do you know when someone contacts you that they're looking for a tower reading, or you offer other aspects of different types of readings? How do you choose what's fit for someone? How does it normally work when someone calls you? Do they know what they want, or do you have to kind of, you probably know because you're the intuitive. This might be a silly question, and I apologize. I have a little cold today, so I keep have to blow my nose. But tell me, how do you determine what someone needs in a sense?
Okay, on my website, expandinghearttarot.com, at my website, I have a menu of the offerings, and it goes from numerology to tarot to coaching. So typically someone comes to me and they know what they want. Not always though. People can come to me, maybe they're on my site, they don't really know what to do, and they'll email me and say, I want a reading, but I don't know what I want. That's great because we can kind of wing it as we go. I like to start a reading with someone new with their numerology because the numerology really unfolds a lot of our personality traits. We did the numerology with you and a
Was
few
I
years
wait, was
ago.
I a nine?
Yep, yep.
Still don't remember everything about a nine. I have it written down somewhere, but yes, we all have our numbers. And yours
Yes,
was a you were a
seven.
seven? Okay. I
Yep,
remember.
yep, that's right. So But this helps kind of people get a little comfortable. They can say, oh, yeah, that really resonates with me. Well, that doesn't resonate so much. And then we can look at the year number, kind of see what they're going through. And I love to segue tarot from the numerology. Right? Because now if someone's a little nervous about tarot, but they're so curious that they want a reading, but they're nervous, we start with the numerology. It's not so scary. Then we bring, and that gives them time to kind of get to know me and feel more comfortable. Then we get into the tarot, and it will absolutely deepen everything that we've seen through numerology. And then we get really personal. And so when someone sits with me, sometimes they have a specific question. I've got to know, am I going to take this job and make this move? Okay, so that tells me I'm going to do the story spread. It's a 9-card spread. I have it all worked out and I know what it's going to tell me. Sometimes people say, well, in general, this or that's going on in my life, and I keep seeing this repeating pattern. I don't know how to get a hold of it. And then I'll do a Celtic cross. That'll bring us from the past to the present and the future, and also show us what others in their lives are influencing them about. And it also shows what they're not seeing, what they just can't see because they're in it, you know? Sometimes we're so emotionally in something, we can't see the bigger picture. And tarot will always help us first by identifying something and then zooming out to help get more clarity on that thing.
Oh, wow. Thank
Yeah.
you. Beautifully said. Thank you so much. And Kay, I know you mentioned your website already. I would love to remind people how to reach out to you as well. Would you mind sharing that one more time?
That is expandinghearttarot.com. I'm Kaye Ashbridge, expandinghearttarot.com. And the website has all kinds of information, a couple of videos. It's got some testimonials from clients, and also it'll take you to my menu and you can schedule online. You can also reach out to my email. It's just the letter K at expandinghearttarot.com.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And oh, sorry, I hate jumping the gun here, but there's a little delay sometimes. Now, lines are open 631-307, excuse me, 631-307-4010. That's 631-307-4010 if you have any questions for Kay. And I know today, again, talking about spirituality, talking about tarot. Do you want to elaborate on this, or is there any experiences that with clients? I'm sure you have new individual different ones all the time. Is there something
All
that
the
you
time.
wanted to share that, yeah, that
Well,
maybe stands out today?
you know, it's interesting that we're talking about the scary cards of tarot because I do a lot of fairs and I can be, 30 vendors or there's 50 or 100 vendors. And a lot of times people will walk by my booth and say, oh, that looks lovely, but I'm really afraid. I'm afraid. And mostly they're afraid of, yeah, the death card. So the death card in tarot, it's number 13. Right? So let's just talk about number 13. There are hotels that
I
do
don't,
not have the
I,
13th floor.
so many hotels have that still. They skip I'm like, that's such a lie. That's the 13th floor. Like they just
Yeah,
put lie and put a different number. I don't understand this. Should we be this superstitious?
we should not. We don't need to be this superstitious, but it is superstition. And the number 13, it's Friday the 13th. Everyone gets nervous about that. But the death card itself. Now, for those of you listeners who are at home and have a tarot deck, I encourage you to look at your death card. Look at that card. So here comes death. He's riding on a white horse. But the color white in tarot represents purity of thought and spirit. And what is the death card? It represents birth, death, and rebirth. The death card in tarot actually represents a renewal. Something will end and it will become compost. And through that compost, we will grow new seeds and beautiful, lush things. So looking at the tarot death card, we see the white horse coming through carrying death. Death is holding a big banner. It's got the 5-petaled white rose. That's the rose of Mars. So, here's this aggressive, fiery energy. And in the foreground of the death card, there is a dead king. The crown has come off. There is a very scared maiden. She's looking the other direction. She can't bear to look. There's a child looking curiously, what is going on here? And there is a bishop standing right in front of death with his hands in prayer. Okay, so and then in the background there are two pillars and the sun is rising in the middle. So the death card actually represents an end of a cycle. Something is ending. It can be something that we know that we need to eliminate from our lives because it's no longer serving us. It can be a relationship that just has got to end because it is toxic or not good for us. It, in my experience, the death card has never come up for an actual death. It comes up for a
Got it.
renewal of energy, a whole different cycle. A death card often comes up when someone's ready to retire because they are putting to rest a whole era of their life. And
Got
it
it.
is ending. And now the sun is coming up. There's new opportunity. It's moving out the old so that the new can come in. So the death card, although it looks scary, it can mean the ending to something. Maybe you've been in a particular job and things changed and you used to love it. Now you kind of hate it and you go and you just don't like it. And the death card comes up and you're asking questions about your career. It could mean that things are going to change very soon and it's going to bring new growth and new positivity. So the death card tells us either something needs to end for your own good, you need to end it, or yeah, there's a new beginning coming. So we humans, we like to be holding on to the old before we move on to the new. Like we can know that we need to do something for a very long time, but we hold on to it because it's familiar and we're afraid of what happens if we let go. So the death card tells us it's time to let go. You gotta let go so that you can bring something new in. Just the way the world works.
Ah, a lot of people have trouble with that, including myself. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're creatures of habit. Is
we're
that
creatures of habit. And sometimes we find ourselves in a situation that's not healthy and we know it's not good and we desire to change it. And day after day and month after month and year after year, there we are. We see it a lot. We can each imagine someone in our lives who everybody can see it but them. They need to leave the situation. So that's when the death card comes up. There's another really scary looking card that people get nervous about, and it's the tower. And I think we had a caller a few weeks ago, and she was in a tower year. We did the numerology, and that
uh-huh.
means time to change something. And if you are not going to change it yourself, well, the universe is going to come in and just pull the rug out from under you. And that caller admitted to us that she is self-destructive and
Ooh.
that she's self-sabotaging and that she knows that she needs to change her behavior. So I think we were able to help her a little bit to see it like that. But yeah, there's some scary cards in the tarot. The Three of Hearts, three swords piercing through a
Oh,
heart.
that one's right there. I'm looking at that over your shoulder. It's over your right shoulder. I could
Yep.
see it. Yeah,
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
what's
yeah, yeah.
what's that one?
Right there. That is the Three of Swords. And so it does. It represents a heartbreak. It represents that someone was hurt very badly. And it also can represent deep healing. Now, when we look at the progression of numerology, the Three of Swords goes into the Four of Swords, and the Four of Swords is rest after heavy mental lifting. And it's rest for self-care and self-love. And there's some blessings going on in the Four of Swords. So in that Three of Swords, yeah, I mean, we all have those days where our hearts feel broken. And how do we forgive? How do we heal? The message could be it's time to get over this. And you need to do that by forgiving someone, maybe forgiving yourself about something.
Y'all
Yeah.
obviously could use some forgiveness. 631-307-4010. If you have any questions, maybe she could pull a card. Whatever you want to ask, she's here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, also, how does it work on a different day? Because every day you're going to pick a new card, but
Mhm.
there's still so much about someone that it's going to come out. But do you see like the look on their face if you're on a Zoom? Because you do a lot of these virtual, right?
Yes, I
And
do.
I mean, you pick the card, you watch their face, and you could tell that they're like, "Oh my gosh, she knows," or "This sounds right." I mean, it's always great confirmation that and you're always spot on. I mean, Is there days you're not spot on and someone says, that's not true. I don't have 3 hours in my heart. I'm not feeling. But then they think about it later and they call you and say, oh, yeah, that meant that.
There was this one thing. Well, typically people are very open when they sit with me for a reading because they have intentionally made an appointment. They may have already paid me unless I'm seeing them in person and they're going to pay me in person. So they're already committed. They already have an interest. And even if they sit down with me and they say, well, I don't really have any questions. Oh, there's something brewing in there. They
Yeah.
just may not want to talk about it, or they may not want to be the one to bring it up, or they may simply want to sit there and they're telling themselves, let's see if she really is good. And that's okay. People test me all the time. That's okay. So I had a woman yesterday I was reading for, and she started to cry. And she said, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Well, I whipped out my Kleenexes. Don't apologize. This is your time. If you feel like crying, this is the place to cry, right? And she asked me, she said,
Wow.
do very many people cry? And I told her, oh, grown men cry. When you start talking about someone's psyche and the feelings they have been harboring or carrying around that they are not talking about, and you bring them out in a loving, compassionate way, because I only see their light. I only see their light. And I can share with them what I'm seeing and where it feels like it's coming from. And then it gets very emotional because it could be something that they've been carrying around for years and decades. It can be that broken heart that they never healed, that they've been ignoring because it's too painful to look at. You know, some people walk around through their whole lives broken because they're too afraid to look at what hurt them so that they can go through the grieving process. Because without the grieving process, how do we come to forgiveness? Right?
Yeah. Wow. There's so much to
So
this. And we
there's a lot.
also,
And this is why counseling always comes in with a tarot session. Not so much, I wouldn't say always, but very often. Very often.
wow. All right. We still got 2 more minutes left on the clock. Lines are open
Okay.
631-307-4010 if anyone has any questions. In the meantime, how do you want to kind of sum up for today's show? What would you like your listeners to also know?
Well, you know what I would love to say to the listeners? Look, we live in a planet in a world of duality. That is our divine feminine and our sacred masculine. And we have two hemispheres in our brains. And we have two sides of every story, right? There's so much duality. So I would encourage everyone to the parts and pieces of yourself that you really don't like and that you hide from, stop hiding from them. Bring them out into the light and love them. A lot of times it's our inner child that hasn't been hugged or loved, that didn't have a best friend growing up, that didn't have the parent that put their arm around them and said, you're okay just the way you
Yeah.
are. Sometimes we have to do that for ourselves. So I would encourage everyone, love yourself. Just love yourself. Let's all love ourselves so that we can love each other and then we can love the world into peace.
Beautifully said. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. We
Yeah.
appreciate your time here, Kay. Tell us how we can reach you one more time.
Reach me through my website, expandinghearttarot.com. You can send me an email at the letter K at expandinghearttarot.com. And well, I just send you lots of love and I thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. And I hope that we've touched someone and helped their day be better.
I'm sure you have. Always mine. And by the way, Kay, if you're Googling her, she's Kaye Ashbridge, just to let you know on that, right? Some people spell their name different, but it's always a pleasure seeing you. Thank you so much for your time and looking forward to our next conversation. And just curious, I'm looking over your left shoulder. There's a guy there pushing. Are those swords? He's next to the knight. Is he pushing? No?
Oh,
Uh, other
you
side.
mean
Next to the knight.
this
There, yeah. I
guy?
know it's confusing. What is that one
Yeah,
doing?
that's the Ten of Wands. So this guy is carrying a big load of burdens. He is
Ah,
carrying responsibility and burdens and obligations. They could be self-appointed, they could be for others, and he's exhausted. And it's the number
yes.
10. So he's coming to the end of a cycle. And if you can see in the image, he is just about to make it home. And when he gets
Ah,
home, he's going to lay those burdens down. So that is a beautiful card to come up. People will see that and think, oh no, more work. hey, it's to lighten your load. It's about lightening your load.
Got
Yeah.
it. All right. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day,
My
Kay. We'll talk
pleasure.
soon. Bye bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.